the colors, many of the sizes, and for good. This is like the perfect jacket.
Well, I love it because it's not a stuffy blazer.
At all.
It's not a hello, I'm a C-suite, although I can dress it up and make it a power blazer. You've got just a little bit of shoulder pads right in there. Right? It's an inset sleeve, so that means I wear a large in this piece.
Right.
But you've got a ton of stretch. You've got pockets. You've got princess seams in the front. You've got them in the back, and you've got stretch galore.
Oh, look at this.
And they're fully lined. So for me, right now, this is part of the WynneLayers collection. So what does that mean to you? That when you see those words WynneLayers, that is a signal for you to remember that what you can do is layer these pieces super easily. So earlier in the day, Kenya had a little two-for sweater underneath this that looked adorable, a little striped sweater that we have with a little a cotton knit shirt collar and the bottom, so it looks like you're wearing three pieces, but it's really two. And then she put this over. So it's really wonderful whether you pick the lavender. The only color that we don't have in the blazer is the olive gray.
Okay, so we have the black, we have the almond, we have the oyster, and then we have this beautiful lavender, which is getting very limited.
Light lavender.
And you said in size-wising,
I think it runs very true to size.
I do too.
How do you guys feel? Josie, what are you in? The top. Yeah, top. Okay, perfect on you. Kenya, you're in a 1X. I have nailed your body type, right? And just because you wear a 1X, the next 1X, you've got to look, when you look at Kenya, you got to realize she's like got the perfect shape, right? You really are like a perfect hourglass, I think.
She was in my lingerie, my lingerie earlier, and it's like,
I know, you look at that and you just kind of go, not fair, okay. Curves in all the right places. And we identified, we've been working together 8 years.
Oh, wow.
8 years. And then, of course, with Victoria, whose only icky bit is, of course, her toes, according to Victoria, right? Like, I'm like, let me count the icky bits. Like, how do I count the ways, you know? And she's like, oh, my toes. And I'm like, just wear a closed-toe shoe, woman. You know?
And I'm sure they're perfect, too.
Right? So what she's got is a very slender, slim figure, right? So very athletic figure. So think about your figure. Think about how much stretch there is in it and what you think you need. I always have to measure myself across the bust because that's where I'm biggest, right? But I also have to be aware of the fact that, well, I don't have a huge tummy. I have not much waist. There's very little difference between my hips and my waist. I'm sort of built like a boy with boobs. Or I guess an old guy with boobs at this point. I don't know. But you know what I mean?
would never know that.
No, but well, you know what? I was getting ready in the back and I was like, clothes do make the difference. And I far prefer, you know, just kind of like getting dressed in the dark and then going, okay, I feel great.
But you do, proportion. You've
it's
always
all
talked
about
proportion.
You've
Proportion.
proportion.
And I apologize. I just assume everybody knows you through all these years. I mean, you created this line. I love your story. We welcome so many hundreds of first-time shoppers on the day today. This is it's a beautiful high-end fashion line that's something Marla really knew or you felt was missing in our retail.
Because I had been living in Europe for 20 years.
Right.
So my kids were born and raised in Paris, and I came back to the U.S. just in time for the writer's strike, the economic meltdown, all that mess in 2007, 08, if you can remember back then. And it was just a financial disaster, and I went out and bought a sewing machine, and I was like in my garage in California, Googling how to sketch, Googling how to thread the sewing machine. And that was like quite a while ago. But it really was a passion play because I came back to the States. I, at that time, had gained a considerable amount of weight. And just nothing was fitting me. Nothing was looking good. It was frumpy and I just didn't feel good. And so I really was very inspired by what I had known in Europe and what I saw as a need in the U.S.
Yeah, and then hence this line.
And here we are.
I can remember that story. How many years ago now that you've been with us?
15 years.
I remember that.
Where did that
like
go, though?
Hello? I don't know. It's so scary. It's so scary. But yeah, I can remember that story, and I thought, wow, what amazing ladies. And an executive really has great taste, really, you know, shopped some of the finest fashions in Europe.
I did.
And it's true. If you did find them here in the States, it'd be, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So I love that. And that is the philosophy of everything that like you said, you may invest a little bit more, but it's worth it. That's always, my mother always said that, you know, pay a little bit more.
I think buy better, buy less.
Yeah.
I use a grommet closure because I don't like what buttonholes do on knit fabrics because they tend to end up looking like big eyes, you know.
Oversized, yeah.
And I don't like that. So that's one of the reasons I use grommets, and also I love them and I put them in my jewelry. You've got great pockets. I do implore you, when you go, you'll see there's a little opening in the pockets when you go to open them. You've got to be super careful with this. Please use a little, you know, what do you call it? Seam ripper.
Yeah.
And be careful because you don't want to damage the fabric. That would be a definite bad thing. There's a slight shoulder pad. They are fully lined. You get a nice structure in it, but this feels like you're wearing a little nothing. Look how adorable Simi looks in this.
So
this
cute.
is exactly how I love to see this styled. I am so excited with the way you're looking in that, Simi, because here's what I like to do with the blazer. Nailed it to a T. I love it. This is, by the way, a little cotton span tee that we have, which I love. I am obsessed with stripes. So you've got on the almond with a pair of jeans, and it just, the whole look is so good because it's not dressy, but it's not sloppy.
Right.
It shows a kind of almost classic style. I tend to run a little classic. There's pieces I have that I think bring some drama, but I tend to be more on the classic side, I think. And so, yeah, classic and sporty, and you look absolutely adorable in this. And by the way, if you haven't gotten this fashion tip, I've been wearing these shoes so long that the people who make them aren't in business anymore. I love them. They're Nicholas Kirkwood's, and he left the business years ago. But I started wearing these metallic shoes, I think I was wearing these when I first met you, don't you think, probably? Yeah. But guess what? All good things come around. If you don't have a pair of metallic shoes this spring and summer, you're gonna be so sorry. And one of the great things about metallics is you can wear them with anything.
That's true. Why don't,
and we
I
have
an
them here
idea.
at HSN, so there you go.
Can you do a knock off the shoe line under your brand? Because you've been talking about these shoes for years.
We actually did a shoe line, and it was gorgeous. But when they did the insole to it, the way that they adhesed it, I put it on my foot, and I said, "This feels like sandpaper." And they said, "Well, you'll have a smooth." So I said, "No, thank you. These are screwed up."
want those.
And I had to cancel the whole thing. It took me 2 years to fail at it. So have a lot of respect for the people who make shoes. It is a hard business.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. You want to come over here? Sure.
Do you mind?
Not at all.
Thanks,
Not
sweetie.
at all. Okay, quick update on the blazer. Fewer than 200 in the lavender. Actually, every one of the colors now are fewer than 500. This blazer has been flying out the door. $89.95. With flex pay, it's what, $22.50? Yeah, $22.50. Extra, extra small through extra large, 1X through size 3X. Okay, we're going to talk about...
Hey, wait, Lynn, I got to just show you one quick thing.
Go ahead.
Did you notice what Josie's holding here?
Yes, I love.
This is made out of neoprene, out of scuba, and it's got a little piece of our jewelry, which is also on my belt. And so that's the dressy version. And then Kenya has the Hope